I mean, it depends on how big your loan volume is and what your interest rates are. But a lot of students or a lot of young people pay I can't remember the exact percentage, but I think it was something like a quarter of their income on all debt, including student credit card and everything else. And that's way too much. So I'd really encourage folks to talk with their creditors and also to look at programs like the income-based repayment program.
Now, is the information readily available to students when they attempt to go to college? What's available in loans or scholarships or grants? And has anyone talked to the students about the cost of credit cards?
Yeah, it really depends per student and the school that they go to and things like that. There's a lot of great information online. So the department's website has a lot of information, even some tools that let you look at different schools and how much they cost. There is, but where you find a lot of trouble is that in a lot of cases, the high school the high school counselors are either under-resourced, that there's not enough of them, or there's kind of an expectation that a lot of students won't go to college, and that's really problematic because then they're going into it blind. And I think you see this most clearly when you have the majority of students that are taking out private student loan debt, which again are those dangerous loans with high interest rates and very few borrower protections. Most of them haven't used up all their federal loans. Some of them haven't even applied for federal loans. And so,
is the information available that they can know there might be a federal loan available?
It is available, but in some cases, unfortunately, they have to seek it out themselves. And that's, a lot of times if there's not a lot of people around you who have been to school before, you don't know to look.
Well, I know I worked with some credit card collecting agencies some years ago, and they did start having classes for college kids to talk about the perils of getting too much credit card debt. I hope that's still going on because financial literacy among young people is very, very important.
Right.
Because that can ruin the comfort of the rest of your life in planning to get overloaded with that credit card debt that you have to pay back $1 on every 5 in interest. Well, is a recession impacting the ability for young people to stay in college or get to college?
Yeah, it's really tough for again a lot of the reasons that schools are having trouble. Parents are less able to help their kids if they lose their job or they're facing increased cost. There are fewer jobs available for the students themselves, so students that relied on getting a job each year might not be able to do that in some cases. Tuition has gone up. It's probably going to keep going up because the round of state budget cuts is not over. It's probably going to continue. And in some cases, in some places, there's less aid available from the state or from their school. And so students are having a pretty tough time right now. Not to mention that as the economy gets worse, a lot of people want to go back to school. And that means that there's a whole lot more students, and there's not any more resources on the school's end or the state's end. So that's also kind of a tough situation.
Now, you worked with a watchdog group at the University of Texas called UT Watch. Tell me what you watched.
Well, we kind of watched the university and the legislature, and we tried to make sure that they were protecting the interests of students and trying to keep the university affordable and accessible. So, while we were there, the university was lobbying to deregulate tuition so they can increase it as much as they want. And of course, as soon as they got it, they raised it 27% in a year. And we also looked at other things like they were bidding on Los Alamos National Laboratory, and we didn't like that so much because the lab had just gone through all these problems. They just are losing laptops to secret information and having a lot of problems with pollution, and so we were kind of urging them not to do that. But
well, that's good that students take the leadership of making sure they're getting a fair chance.
Yeah.
Now, the position you have now, are the responsibilities similar?
You know, somewhat. Right now I have very varied responsibilities. So I work with some students on their own campaigns, doing a lot of different things on campus, and I also work in D.C. to write about and advocate on making college more affordable.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you see where there might be improvements that can be made for students to have a greater opportunity for going through college without owing the rest of their lives?
Yeah, I think right now the biggest thing that's going on is the Student Aid and Fiscal Responsibility Act, and which the House passed pretty recently, and that would put at least $40 billion into the Pell Grants, which are grants for low and middle income students to go to college. You don't have to pay them back, and it would tie into inflation, so at least there's a floor. It won't stagnate for years and years and years. If people don't want to fund it, it will continue to rise. And then it has a lot of other great changes. The FOSFA, the free application for federal student aid, that would be simplified. Right now it's very, very complicated, and a lot of students, you know, they take one look at it and they just kind of run away because it's very long and detailed. And it will make Perkins loan more available, which will help students avoid very risky private student loan debt. There's a lot of other great stuff in the bill as well.
How can students find what opportunities are available? Do they have lots of that information online?
There's a great deal of information online. I would encourage you to go to the Department of Education's website, and there's a lot of great information there. And then if you're interested in the income-based repayment, ibrinfo.org has...
Say that again.
ibrinfo.org has a lot of great information on both public service, loan forgiveness, and income-based repayment.
Well, that's good. Do you see opportunities kind of vanishing for low-income students?
I think it's a really tough time right now. I think it's great that Congress at this point in time has a real commitment to students. I think that was lacking during, you know, some of some previous years, but I think now there's a strong commitment, and I think that that's going to help a lot. But we need to get state governments on board. We need to get schools on board to really make this a big priority.
What advice would you give a low-income student who'd like to go to college?
Try really hard, and look at all of your options. Talk to people like your high school guidance counselor, like your parents, other people who have been through college, because it will really help you in the long run. And as expensive as it might seem right now, and as difficult as it might seem, you can really do it. And you know, the funny thing is that the more that students challenge themselves, it's actually the more successful that they are. So don't be scared of going to a school because it seems very difficult. You should just get there and try your hardest to make it.
Yes. Well, thank you very much, and I hope that we have a lot of young people, our parents, watching, so they'll be encouraged about the opportunities for college. Let me thank you for taking time to come, and I thank you for watching, and I will see you next week.
This has been another edition of Report from Washington featuring Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson. You can reach Congresswoman Johnson at 202-225-8885 or 214-922-8885. You can also contact her through her website at http://www.house.gov/ebjohnson.